Alright, let's see if this works.
Junk Shop Libraries Improv Bible Study. Are you ready for this?
Well, welcome everybody once again to Improv Bible Study here on the Junk Shop Library channel. The Bible study where we read it all so we can roast it all. We will be turning today to the 8th chapter of Deuteronomy, where I'm not sure what to hope for, because this book has been just so wildly uneven. We had Plague of Hornets last time. Chapter before that, we had a reiteration of the Ten Commandments for about the 10 squillionth time. Like, subscribe, and all those other YouTubey things. And without further ado, let's dive right in. See what the Lord has in store for us this time. The 5th book of Moses, called Deuteronomy, 8th chapter. All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live, and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee, and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldst keep his commandments or no. And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live. Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that, as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee. Therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to fear him. For the Lord thy God bringeth thee into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of the valleys and hills, a land of wheat, and barley, and vines, and fig trees, and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness, thou shalt not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills thou mayest dig brass. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless the Lord thy God for the good land which he hath given thee. Beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes which I command thee this day, lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses and dwelt therein, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, then thine heart be lifted up, and thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, who led thee through that great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions, and drought where there was no water, who brought thee forth water out of the rock of flint, who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he might humble thee, and he might prove thee, to do thee good at the latter end. And thou say in thine heart, My power and the might of mine hand hath gotten me this wealth. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant which he sware unto thy fathers, as it is this day. And it shall be, if thou do at all forget the Lord thy God, and walk after other gods, and serve them and worship them, I testify against you this day that ye shall surely perish. As the nations which the Lord destroyeth before your face, so shall ye perish, because ye would not be obedient unto the voice of the Lord your God. And there we have Deuteronomy, 8th chapter. Alrighty then. Well, I think at this point we know why Moses' filibuster goes on for so damn long. A lot of it's written in after the fact, and as we've observed before, more likely than not, at the time of the Babylonian exile. Because here he goes warning us yet again that if we turn after other gods, God's going to break up with us. All kinds of weird little asides in this chapter. Let's see, verse 4, Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. They're in the desert. Which, if that's not a Star Wars special edition, added after the fact answer to a question that nobody was fucking asking, I just don't know what is. I've just got this vision of this being a running joke among the little Israelite children as they play in the streets of Babylon. You know, they were out in the desert for 40 years with no loom. How in the world did they replace their, the curious girdle of the ephod when it got all worn out and covered in sheep's blood and moth-eaten? And finally somebody says, okay, you know what? And he goes in and he scribbles in a little marginal note that says, and Moses at this time reminded the children of Israel of something that had not been mentioned at all up until this point, which was that God provided magical protection for everybody's clothes and feet so that they didn't have any problem wandering around in the burning-ass desert, TM, for 40, 50, 60, however long years. Let's see. List of stuff that's going to be awesome in the new country. Veins of brass in the hills that they'll be able to dig. Brass? Isn't brass an alloy? Man, if I wasn't so committed to this, the improv aspect of this, I'd be taking a look at some of this stuff ahead of time. But yeah, isn't it? I think isn't brass an alloy of like what, copper and iron or something like that? I really don't know, and I'm doing myself a little mosaic filibuster here while I flip through my encyclopedia, because I don't have a dictionary handy. Brass, alloy of copper and zinc. Formerly, any alloy of copper, especially one with tin, was called brass, and it was probable that the quote-unquote brass of ancient times was of copper and tin, see bronze. The modern alloy came into use about the 16th century. That's Funk and Wagnall's New Encyclopedia, Volume 4. Copyright date. Most recent. 1971. Nope, they've got them in the wrong order. 79. 86. All right. Well, a little metallurgical trivia there for you. You never know what you're going to learn when you roll up into the junk shop library. Now, do you? All right. So yes, they're going to dig a zinc copper alloy out of the hills, because that's how good the Promised Land is. Not only is it flowing with milk and with honey, but it's got pomegranates and it's got veins of man-made alloy in the hills. Let's see here. There was some... Oh, verse 15, yeah. God who led thee through that great and terrible wilderness wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions. More weird bug stuff, scorpions. But more important, fiery serpents. You happen to remember where we heard about the fiery serpents and their travels? We did. It wasn't one of those weird things that just got lost along with the book of the wars of the Lord of the trade routes of the Red Sea. The only time we've encountered a mention of fiery serpents so far was when the people complained so much about something. Who fucking knows? They complain about every damn thing. But one of the times they complained too much, God sent fiery serpents to kill them. And that's when Moses had to make the snake idol out of everybody's earrings and stick it up on a stick, and the people who weren't the 40,000 people who had already died of fiery poisonous snake bites could stare at it and be cured. Nice of God and or Moses here to take credit for leading them through the wilderness where the fiery serpents were, when it was God and or Moses and his giant cloud of sentient lightning bugs who gave them over into the hand of the fiery serpents in the first fucking place. Break your leg and sell you a crutch, right? All right, latter half of verse 15. And drought where there was no water. Thanks for clearing that up, Moses. I really hate those droughts when there are no water. I much prefer the droughts where there's also a deluge of rain. Seems like there was one other super weird thing in here. I got distracted by metallurgy, and I did not underline it either. Well, so anyway, that's chapter 8. Weird stuff, weird trivia, strange contradictions, and weird bug stuff. That's pretty much what we come to expect of the Old Testament, isn't it? We'll be back soon with chapter 9. And that's all I've got. Until we meet again, everybody take care, be safe, and if you have not already, poke the Pope to subscribe. Like 2 people did just last night. Welcome aboard, gentlemen. I don't say that in a weird sexist way. I happen to know they are both gentlemen. All right. We will see y'all again here soon. And always remember to stand against hate. Bye now.